Hey folks, my name is Bob the Pet Ferret, and my channel turns 12 this month. And with a recent relaunch and a refocus, I decided to use this anniversary to look back at the journey I've been on and the lessons that I've learned, why I shifted the focus of the channel, and where my journey might be able to help people looking to set up their own channels. So here we are in part 2, where we start in the second year of the channel. I'd been working on Let's Plays for just over a year. I'd strengthened my confidence and my commentary quality had picked up. I'd experimented with a Halloween special and an advent calendar, and along the way I'd managed to pick up a small community. It was much easier to build one in those days because YouTube actually promoted smaller channels, which doesn't really do a good job of these days. But I digress. You see, 4th of March 2010 was an important date for the channel. That was the day that a video entitled Von Croy Won't Shut Up arrived on the channel. It was the first part of a long-term Let's Play of my favourite game of all time, Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation.
Oh my god guys, we're playing Tomb Raider! Yes!
And this, my friends, was the pinnacle of everything I'd been doing up to this point. I'd gotten into a groove with commentary, I'd locked in my sense of humour and the kind of pop culture references I'd make, and I picked a game so tied to my identity that it couldn't possibly go wrong.
Swing, Laura, swing. No, that's... why I told you to stop swinging.
This was my Let's Play magnum opus. 90 episodes of me having a blast and being on top of my game. My viewers loved it and I loved it, and to this day I still occasionally get people wistfully looking back at it or actively going back and enjoying it. That makes me feel good, because I'm proud of that Let's Play and its many arguments with Lara Croft about her wealth.
Gotta go on the pull. Oh, that's disgraceful language. Don't ever talk like that again. You sound like a working class person.
And with a project this good, where do you go from here? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because sadly I didn't know at the time. So much so I took some time out after the Let's Play finished, and during this time I decided to take the next logical step. More Tomb Raider. Except this is perhaps the first moment where it was clear I'd gone as far as I could with Let's Plays, and I wanted to do something more. Because rather than just do a Tomb Raider Let's Play, I decided to do both the original game and its remake Anniversary at the same time, allowing a direct comparison between the two. This was a complex undertaking as I weaved the two games together based on the level structure, and kept it quiet that the original game was even involved until part 3, and I loved doing this. Planning out how all this would come together was a great exercise in editing, and the audience seemed to love it as well. And it was only the beginning of this. At the time, Marble Hornets and other online horror series were at the height of their popularity, and I decided to play around with this. I started up a Let's Play of Fatal Frame 2, which was infected by Slendy and friends, which tested my limited editing abilities, but poor planning meant this never got finished. So much work had to go into it, and I was mostly throwing it together on the fly, and eventually I just kinda got bored with what I was doing here. A Let's Play was not the avenue for doing something like this. An analysis of a game with a weird world could have taken on some of these ideas as long as it was a standalone video, but perhaps that's me getting ahead of myself. What else? How about repeating Anniversary's gimmick by playing Sonic Generations alongside all the original levels? Maybe bring in some ideas from the Fatal Frame 2 Let's Play. So I created a weird narrative about the game's villain dragging in an alternate timeline where I did play through every single Sonic game instead of stopping after Adventure. That definitely happened, and it never got finished because once again, I hadn't really thought through the alternate timeline stuff that far. I did most of it, but as I struggled to make that storyline pay off, the final part just never got finished. And then there was a two-way combo of Tomb Raider 2 and Uncharted 3 where I decided to play up the idea of them being adventure travelogues, where I would provide facts about each area, with the joke that all of the facts were very clearly made up.
So let me tell you about the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China was invented in 1573 by a man named Jackie Chan. He was a Chinese man who was very, very interested in walls, and he liked walls so much he decided one day, I'm going to make the greatest wall. I'm going to make the greatest wall. He made this wall that is so big that it can only be seen from the moon. Yes, it is that amazing. So now I hope you all feel a lot more educated on the Great Wall of China.
There's a theme here. I no longer wanted to just sit and play a game and talk while I played. I wanted my videos to be more creative, more tightly edited and playful. I wanted to engage with these games in a new way. But seemingly at no point did I realise that I was essentially done with the Let's Play medium. And that's today's lesson. There will be a point where the type of content you produce may no longer be the kind of content you want to produce. It seems that I subconsciously recognised how much I'd peaked with Tomb Raider 4, and that's why I kept getting ideas to do something different, but failed to recognise just how much I should have shifted away. Because that's an interesting thing about looking at this 2010 to 2013 period of my channel. The only traditional Let's Plays I did in this time were finishing up an Uncharted 2 Let's Play I'd already begun, and a Beyond Good and Evil Let's Play that I barely cared about, and if I'm honest, I forgot that I did until I looked back through my videos while researching this. I was clearly craving something new, and refused to answer that call because I'd been riding the Tomb Raider 4 high so much. The lesson is, always pay attention to what feels right to you, and find ways to experiment and move closer towards what you want. Don't cling to what you used to do for the sake of it, you'll feel better creatively in the long run. Further proof of this was soon to come, as I was about to move drastically away from Let's Plays and towards more edited works very soon after this. But more on that tomorrow.